What's up, Travis with TCustomz Productionz, TCustomz.com. Today I just wanted to give a quick tip or an alternative workflow approach or whatever you want to call this for those of you working on sample-based production. If you ever feel like you're getting stagnant or stale, or your beats all sound the same, or you're looking just for a change of pace in general, maybe to spark some additional creativity. It could be just as simple as changing some things up, changing up your workflow, and taking kind of an avant-garde approach to your norm. And I don't do this that often. Typically when I sit down and go through records, I have kind of like what I call a listening session, and I'll go through a number of albums, whether it be vinyl or digital albums, and identify those samples that I want to use or potentially use. If it's really dope and it really inspires me, I may just stop my listening session and just go and start working on a beat right then if I feel inspired to do that. But many times I like to just have that time when I'm listening to music, setting stuff aside if it intrigues me, and then having a separate time when I actually go to create. I may be making a mental note priority of which ones I want to revisit first, but when I feel inspired to work on beats, I'll have samples ready. I'll drag them over into my software, chop them up, and I'll start working on the record. I'll start maybe my sample sequence first, my drum sequence. I've talked about that before, but today I feel like I wanted to switch it up. And so instead of actually working on beats, I may work on beats later on this evening, but at least the early part of this morning, all I've done is I've chopped up records. I chopped up about 5 records so far. You'll see these ADG files over here. See 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there was maybe just 4 records that I chopped up today, but I haven't actually started working on any beats. I just drug over the audio files, chopped them up, and saved the drum racks in this case. If you are using Ableton Live, I shot a video in the past and show you how to save your samples for later use using this method, but just allows you to import these sample slices into any new session that you're working on without having to save independent sessions ahead of time. So if you're working on a beat tomorrow or a week from now, and you start maybe with a percussion loop or a drum track or a drum break, and you want to import one of the samples that you had chopped previously, you can easily do that. And I just did this today to give myself a change of pace. A lot of times by experimentation, you're going to do some things that you wouldn't typically do. In certain cases, it might turn out whack, and then in other cases, it might turn out 10 times better than you had anticipated just because you did something a little bit differently. Similarly, I've known people to just spend time working on drum loops, just preparing 8 and 16 bar drum patterns, percussive loops. You can export the MIDI sequences, any of the samples that they're using, and have that ready to go to import into any new beat that they're working on. It's kind of the same thing with the sample chop. I don't have to now go through with all these 4 samples that I've already chopped. I don't have to go through that process now. They're already ready. All I have to do is do whatever little manipulation, and maybe I'll be working on a track tomorrow that has a very distinct drum break or drum group, and I just want to experiment with some of these samples. You know, I've done this before, and the beats never would have turned out that way had I not broken up the monotony and switched it up a little bit. So I just wanted to pass that tip along. If you don't already do this, you may already even work this way. Probably later on this evening, I'll be experimenting and testing out some new drum samples and drum libraries. So that would be a perfect opportunity for me to attempt to work on some of these new samples that I just chopped up. So hopefully that helps in some way. If it did, please make sure to like, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment below. Let me know your process. Do you work systematically? Do you work just on chopping samples first and then do your drum loop separate and kind of marry the two later? Or is it different all over the place for you, kind of like it is for me? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.